Okay, this meeting is being recorded, guys. Thanks for jumping on board. I'm going to be in and out of the slide because as much as I love technology, one of the things that challenges me is being in technology and being able to see when people come on board. Like Wendy is coming on board. Awesome, Wendy. So those who don't know, Wendy is a coach that works with realtors. Wendy has been with me for quite a while. So awesome. She's also like this crazy CrossFitter that lifts like thousands of pounds and does burpees and all that stuff. So, hey, Wendy. So, so we're going to jump in, and I'm going to go. Tonight's class is literally going to be what is neuropersuasion. We're going to talk about. It's kind of a broad overview this evening, and then for Wendy and other ones that have worked with me, some of this will be familiar. And then we're going to go over the next few weeks into this. Sean, you're in real estate, great. Amber, real estate, great. Because when you're in any business, whether you're a coach, therapist, realtor, broker, coach, again, I said, what can you do to bring the best information to people? And Amber, if you're coaching people, how can we up that game? We want to really work with people on a neurological level. And so you're going to hear me talk a lot about that. There's a lot of noise out there when it comes to sales processes and marketing and neurolinguistics. Hey, Amber, now I can see you. So we're going to talk about using it from a linguistic and also how does the mind work, starting with you, and then we're going to work with your clients. If you don't have this straight, working with clients will never work. And so we're going to talk more than just positive mindset, having an affirmation that you read every day. You know, I always call it the Good Morning Pep Rally. There's a place for that. There's so much more. And so we're going to jump in there. So let me get my screen up. And okay. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about neuropersuasion. Neuropersuasion is about influencing yourself, influencing others, impact the world. A little bit about me. My name is Wayne Sutton. I'm a real estate coach. I'm a real estate broker here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And one of the things that I love, I'm also I'm really a trainer of coaches such as Wendy. I've done that for a number of years. But I was over to the last, so I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. Over to the last few months, I thought, what do I really want to bring to people? Yes, I want to help people when it comes to real estate. Yes, I want to help people when it comes to being a better coach. Yes, I want to help people in their marriages and family life. And that's, my degree. And I finally said, you know what? It all starts with the mind. We can learn to influence ourselves first. Then we can influence others. Too many people get that mixed up, and then we can impact the world. Amber, Sean, Wendy, everybody watching this on the replay, all of you, that means something different to all of you. And I'm sure all of you have gone through different programs, different modules, different coaching scenarios. So what I want you all to do as you're listening to this and watching this is I want you to focus, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I really want you to allow your unconscious mind to really grab a hold of this, because the unconscious does everything. Amber's cooking, I believe you said. You're cooking, you're working, you're doing this. We have things happening all the time. The unconscious part of your mind makes things happen. So we're going to speak to the unconscious using some linguistics, using some different language patterns, and we're going to really begin to persuade you to influence yourself, influence others. Think about, let's begin with this. I really want to begin with what you desire in your life. Whether it's the real estate business, whether it's your personal life, romantic life, it doesn't matter. If you think about what you truly desire, you know what you want your future to look like. Let's say 12, 24 months from now, 2 years from now. You know exactly what you want your future to look like, and you know how you'll feel when you get that. With me, that's my role, is to help you design and discover that. So I'm going to ask, so we're relaunching tonight, May 25th. Future calls will be Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. at this time. We may shift those around. I'm doing coaching and enrolling students during the day. So I wanted to make sure this was something we could do. Yes, it may cut into other things in the evening. However, our private coaching students will have other times available. So just make a note of it. Stay inside of the Slack channel. If you're watching this on a replay and you're not in a Slack channel, you don't know how to get in touch with me. The bottom down there, discoverrealresults.com is the best way. So, all right. Now, influencing yourself. We're going to talk over it. We're going to do more than talk. Over the next few sessions, we're really going to go into more of the mental reprogramming and design. Again, this is more than a pep rally. It's more than reading affirmations. It's really, how does your brain work? What chemicals? Do you know what you need to say or hear or do to have serotonin or dopamine drip? Do you know what causes in your own life? We're not talking about other people yet. We'll get to that. But in your own life, how do you get the serotonin, the dopamine, the endorphins to run when they need to? And how do you shut them off when you don't need them, when you need to be more active and not on an emotional high? We will be talking about hypnotherapy. We will be talking about a modified version of neurolinguistic program, and we will use timeline therapy. And I want you to only buy into this as fast as you feel comfortable. And what I mean by that is sometimes we're going to have hot seats. Well, I'm going to say, hey, let's go do a session. Whether I'm placing you under hypnosis or we're doing a timeline therapy session, or we're just simply teaching the overt or covert linguistics behind it. Now, there is active and there's passive programming. Active programming is when I'm saying something to you, I'm asking you to do something. Passive is when, as I said earlier, your unconscious mind is picking it up and it's making shifts. If you're not comfortable with that, this isn't the place for you. So if you're like, hey, I think Wayne is using some weird strategies on me, absolutely. That's what we're doing, because that's the way to bring the most up for change. So I'm going to, just for a moment, I want to jump in here. Wendy. Now, I know me and you, Wendy, have had a great long history, but tell us, for everybody else, I know what you're doing, but tell us what you want to grab out of this series. What do you want to learn? What do you want to develop? What's important to you?
Out of the series?
NeuroPersuasion class, yes.
I think maybe like better, I don't want to say sales strategies, but sales strategies.
Beyond. That's right.
Like being not tricky, but there's a way that people receive information and you need to use that, I feel like.
Sure, absolutely.
To your advantage.
Awesome.
Or even for their advantage, because some people need like that little push to do something that's good for them. And
you're exactly right. Yeah. So thank you, Wendy. I'm going to be calling on you a lot just because we have a history of working together. Amber. Tell us when you think about persuasion, real estate, marketing, whatever, hey, jumping on this class, I've never trained with you. You remember me from another coach, but really, what do you hope? What is your next goal? What are you trying to achieve? If you can talk, I'm not going to interrupt you if you're busy.
Well, oh no, you just might get kid background is all. We're in the thick of it over here. When I think of, guys, quiet for 1 second, please. Sorry, ask again. I was stuck on, what do I want to get out of this?
Boom, there you go. You're just stuck at the right point.
Yeah, no, I've kind of bounced around through a couple programs, just trying to like find good people. I know I need to be uplifted. Being self-employed is that, like, I love being self-employed, but I also need to be surrounded by other people who can lift me up, can keep me motivated, keep me excited, even through challenges and that kind of stuff. I am curious to learn more about like what you coach, how you coach, because I've heard a little bit of your stuff here and there, but not completely immersed. As far as persuasion, I think we're always in the business of persuasion, right? Like, and it's not always like me trying to convince you. Sometimes it's me trying to get information out of you in terms of buying a house, or when I'm coaching, trying to find where somebody really is in their business so that I can help them level up, similar to how you do as well. So I don't think it's always trying to be the convincer. It's not the sales pitchy persuasion. Sometimes it's about drawing out those questions so that I can guide that conversation to help them get where they know they want to be, but do it a lot faster, so that we're both a lot happier, a lot faster.
That's awesome. And in the real estate market we're in today, being able to persuade someone to put in the right offer, to take action now, to not delay.
To take the right offer, to know when to list, how to list, like, every angle of it is so stressful right now.
Absolutely. Persuasion, we're going to talk about that a lot. That's why we, a good friend of mine said, Wayne, why did you name it NeuroPersuasion? Because you're teaching so much more. I said, everything we're doing is persuading ourselves, others of the world. So that's why we called it that. And I know, Amber, I don't know if you, from the other coaching, if you were in any of the teachings I did some time ago, we're going to turn the volume way up on this. We're not holding nothing back. So, hey, Sean, if you're available, you can either type, or if you're available to unmute. I'd love to hear when you think about persuasion and moving forward, what is it that you would like to achieve? Awesome. We'll come back to Sean if he gives us an answer there in just a minute. So I want to jump in. We're going to get back into the slides, guys. And I really want to, again, tonight's just going to be a primer. As I said, we'll be back here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. If you want to know more about what we do in private coaching, we'll have that available. But I'll say this, if you never invest in coaching with me, you're still going to get a lot of information, a lot in this. We're holding nothing back. We're going to teach everything through these free classes. We just get a little more, I guess you'd say, a little more intimate on some of the smaller classes, and you really get to go in and go deeper. We're also going to segment. In the past, we've segmented a lot when we started getting deeper into persuasion, eliciting criteria, using different techniques. I thought, okay, I've gone deep enough. Let me stop. But we're just going to go all the way forward. And so back to beliefs. I'm a minister also. I have unapologetically Christian. So when I talk about hypnosis and a mental redesign, some people freak out. I can give you all the Bible verses that support it or not. It's up to you. The point is, I don't apologize for my desire to be the best I can be in all areas of life. So there we go. So let's jump back into our, so influencing yourself. This is going to be next week's class. So again, tonight's going to be an overview. Influencing yourself through mental programming and design. We are not going to do just a rah-rah, but we're going to do actual techniques that will do that. Influencing others. Influencing others, persuasion and influence systems. Amber, you said it great. What questions do you ask? So there's going to be questions that will elicit criteria. I'm going to show you how to elicit criteria with never asking a question. I'm going to show you how to do deep elicitation without ever stating a question. So this works really good with people that are maybe harder to communicate with, or if you're working with more than one person. We're going to go into marketing. So in NeuroPersuasion, we're going to talk about video marketing. We're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about what you should and shouldn't do. We're going to talk about going into marketing, using different tactics. I know a lot of your realtors, what you should do in your local market. If you're looking to buy, sell, work with investors, or maybe recruit. Selling strategies. This is where I want to say there's a lot of people teaching a lot of segmented pieces, and you can learn from it all. I talked to somebody today, said, Wayne, I'm learning from Grant Cardone. I'm doing Grant Cardone coaching. Somebody else said, hey, I just bought Jordan Belfort's coaching program. Somebody else said I'm working with, I don't want to mention some of the names because I know this is going to be out there. Not great. That's some good information. I believe you'll gain some of it. But what's missing when you go and you grab a personality? Jordan Belfort's a personality. Grant Cardone's a personality. A lot of people are personality-based. They can sell to that person. But how do you sell to everybody? How do you truly overt? Overt means I'm here, Amber, to persuade you. Covert means we're having a normal conversation, storytelling, whatever, and you begin to shift your values and beliefs. If you're not comfortable with that, it's going to say it's the same. Then if you consider that manipulation, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's what we're going to cover. Now, impact the world. Now, this is really what matters to me. Discovering your passions and purpose. Now, I've had people that say, hey, I feel that's getting a little woo-woo, that's getting a little, too soft. I don't think you can persuade properly if you don't know why you're persuading. So your passions and purpose will come first. Implementing self-discovery strategies. It's not enough to go, I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great mom. I want to change the world. We need to know what drives us, what mindset's driving us, what beliefs, embedded beliefs, and we're going to learn if that serves us, how to anchor that to you. When you see something that's important, somebody you want to work with, anchor it. When you see something that's not, how do we push it away and collapse it? Using influence to impact others. Again, how do we change? I believe everything we do begins, when I say impact the world, that world could be your children. Amber's got children. I know Wendy's got one I saw a while ago. I have 4 downstairs here. I'm teaching from my home. Sean, we don't know, but we know there's children, and that's okay. For me, that's how I begin to impact the world. But then I can impact outside of that. And we're going to talk about becoming a person of influence and leadership. Leadership is very important. Leadership is not just, hey, I read a book by John Maxwell on leadership. Now I feel like I'm a leader. You can only lead. People will only follow you if you help change their belief systems. And so we're going to talk about that as well. For those who are coaches, I come from that background. So we're going to talk a lot about coaching people and helping people. Real estate, we'll mention that. Network marketers. I know I've got a few network marketers who will be on our next call. We're going to talk a lot about that business model. But most importantly, NeuroPersuasion is the way that you were divinely created, the way the brain works, and how you can break free from that and go into other areas. These are the 4 levels. The first 3 here, again, you hear in almost everything. It's the mindset, skill set, and your effort. And I can definitely help you with the mindset. More than a motivation, we're going to look at how the brain works. When you're motivated, when you're not, what happens in the chemicals in the mind, the skill set, to sell, to persuade, to change people's belief systems. The effort, it's up to you. But I tell you this, the reason most people don't put forth the effort is because there's a hidden insecurity somewhere. If I go call this person or try to help this person, can I really help them? And there's doubt because you do not have the skill set or the mindset. We're going to eradicate those and get you where you need to be. Fourth, and I think is very important, is faith. Whether that be faith in divine being, faith in yourself, and really, I believe in a spiritual favor. I believe if you have the mindset, skill set, and effort in place, the favor comes naturally. I really do. I've seen it in my life. But why would I expect the faith or the favor to activate if I have not set myself up with the first 3? So we're going to talk about those levels as well. So I want to do introductions, but we kind of already did that at the beginning. Our business, our mission, and really what we desire. And if there's one thing that you would like to see from a program as we move into, again, this is more of an introduction call tonight. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things that we're going to cover, but I want to know what your desire is, what you're looking for, what really matters to you. So with that, I want to share with you a quick story, if I could, about how really NeuroPersuasion came to be. For me, I've always been obsessed with the way the mind works. I remember as a child watching these TV shows about hypnosis. And have you ever seen these hypnotists on TV and they look at you and they talk to them? And there's 2 realms when it comes to falling in trance and following somebody. The first is you see the old hypnotists. They had the magical pocket watch, and they would move the pocket watch back and forth. And you would stare at it, and then all of a sudden they'd say some magical words and the person's in trance. And I was always told hypnosis can never be used on a child. But I remember it was a child about 18, 20 months old. And the parents had the worst. They said, we cannot get her to go to sleep. I said, well, hypnosis would work, but you don't tell it, you don't tell a parent you'll hypnotize your child. I said, well, just trust me with something. We got to focus our attention because our attention's everywhere. We're going to focus it on one area. And I didn't pull out a magical stopwatch. I just used my finger. But even as you begin to look at the finger, and I changed the cadence of my vocabulary. It took about 3 or 4 times. But at the end, I could start waving my finger in front of her face, and she was anchored in on it, and she would fall asleep. But literally, they'd have to pick her up, take her to the crib. So, but the reason I found hypnosis so amazing is not fall into trance on the count of 3. It was the way the mind works. How can somebody go through surgery and not feel pain, have dental work and have no anesthesia when they're using hypnosis? How can somebody really believe they're Elvis Presley or something, see these crazy shows? How can that really happen? And what I realized is your unconscious, your mind works the same way as your conscious mind, except your unconscious just believes what you tell it. Have you ever had a dream and it just feels so real? Think about this. You go to sleep. So Wendy, tonight I'm sure you've worked out. You're tired, you're exhausted, you lay your head on your pillow, you're going to go to sleep, and you know where you're at. You know your home, you know who's in your home, everything's good. You fall asleep and instantly you're in a dream and you're talking to, an alien from another planet. You're flying like Supergirl, Superwoman, whatever. And for not 1 second you go, wow, this is really weird. It's like, I'm flying, whatever. That's the power of the unconscious. And then sometimes if you've ever had a dream and you woke up and go, wow, that was so real. Maybe you were mad at somebody in your dream. My wife sometimes will say, oh, I am so mad at you. I'm like, why are you mad? She said, what I dreamed about. I'm like, what did I have to do with your dream? So the mind doesn't distinguish real from unreal. The mind just says, hey, this is real. And we accept that. So that's where I was always interested in hypnosis. And then I was probably about 20, 21 years old, maybe 22. And I'm reading, I'm in Success magazine. And I'm at the very back. Now, the articles are great, but I went for the back. I went for the little classified ads. I wanted somebody to sell me something that would make me better in sales. At the time, I was getting into insurance sales. I was selling automobiles. I was reading a book called Unlimited. I had it here just a few minutes ago. I was talking about it to somebody else. Unlimited Hypnotic Selling Power or something. And I read in the back of this book, though, the secrets of speed selling. And I'm going to tell you how old I am now, but I literally had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to get their sales pitch. How crazy, Now today we just hit a button. So I got a letter, self-addressed it, mailed it to them. A few days later, I get back this amazing sales letter. I still have on my desk here today. And it talked about speed selling. As Amber said, persuasion. How do we persuade somebody quickly to do what we want? And I read this letter. If I read it once, I read it 100 times without exaggeration. Because I didn't have the $297 to buy the 8 cassette tapes. And my 8 cassette tapes, they want $300. This is in 1990 something, so you know what it costs. But I did. I kept on. I walked into the bank one day and they said, hey, would you like to apply for a credit card? And I'm like, yes, I would, if I can come up with $297 on the credit card. But they would only give me a $250 limit. So I sent the credit card in along with the money order. I got these cassette tapes. A gentleman named Glenn. And anybody remember, again, I'm dating myself, but I had the cassette tape player with the other one where you could record and make a copy. And I'm like, all right, I'm making a copy for my buddy. So I made a copy for my buddy. He'd listen to it. I'd listen to it. And we would talk all the time. We just got cell phones. Cell phones were like pretty new at the time. And we were always back and forth. I'm like, hey, man, did you listen to tape 3? And he's like, oh, my goodness. And we would role play and we'd run these language patterns. And I knew we were steps ahead of everybody else, but not where I wanted to be. Not where I quite wanted to be. And then I got into that, is this right? Am I manipulating people? Is this wrong? I got into that, that mindset for just a moment. Because I always want to do something with integrity. Well, if that wasn't enough, then I found the master persuader. And I still follow this gentleman to today. I talked to him about 2 days ago. Now, he didn't have 8 cassette tapes for $297. He had 18 cassette tapes for like $1,000. And so that's probably like a $5,000 investment now. I'm like, there's no way I can do it. No matter what. His hypnotic language, it had me sold. But you can be sold on something. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. But a friend of mine once said, hey, when you got to be resourceful if you don't have resources. So I literally picked up, again, I keep dating myself on this. Hey, Sean. So I picked up and I called, if you remember 411, I'm like, hey, I need the information for so-and-so in Washington State and all this. They gave me his phone number. So I called him. And he said, yeah, this is him. How did you get my number? I'm like, well, man, I called information, told him where you live, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, I don't put my number out for a reason. I said, I get it. I need your information. Everything that I've read about you, heard about you is amazing. He worked with Jay Abraham. He said, okay, well, here's our feed. He started giving me his pitch. I said, no, I don't think you understand. I need it. I can't afford it. But I believe in being resourceful. And if I don't have the resources, I've maxed out my credit card, my one credit card I had. I bought this course from this gentleman. And he said, okay, well, I don't know how to help you without you paying me, which I can respect. I said, well, one thing that this gentleman said in the $300 course was, what would have to happen? And so that's what I'm offering you. What would have to happen for you to package up your 18 cassette tapes, put my address on an envelope, and mail it to me? What I did there was really simple. What would have to happen? And then I explained the process. So in his mind, he had to create the image of him putting the cassette tapes in the box, putting my name on it, and mailing it. And he laughed. He said, you would have to pay me. I said, okay. But what if I could pay you in a different form? Instead of just mailing you, $1,000, what if I could do something different? I'm over this network marketing company, and I have a small group that follows me. We have a small group. We're not very profitable yet. But how about if I promote you like an affiliate? He said, well, I don't have an affiliate program. I said, yeah, I know, but what if you did? What would have to happen for me to promote you? And so we talk. And he said, you know what? I really like you. I'm sending it to you. And so I took his information. I said, well, tell me how to help you. Sent him 2 clients. So he made $2,000 from the other clients, and I got the course for free. What do you think I did? And we went right back to the cassette tapes and started recording cassette tapes. Called my buddy up and like, hey, man, we got it. He said, you're kidding me. I'm like, no. So it was every day on the phone now with these language patterns, presuppositions, double binds, 18 most powerful words. And I went through all of this stuff on persuasion. And we started applying it. I said, hey, man, let's call them back. Tell them thank you. Tell them what it's done for our business. And let's try to move him into this network marketing company. So we get on the phone and same thing. Hey, what would have to happen? And he finally said, hey, enough. You got enough out of me. I'm not doing anything else. But keep in touch. And, we built a friendship over 20 years. I've interviewed him, and we're actually probably working on some projects here pretty soon together. The point is, if you want to really build that business, Amber wants to be a better coach, sell more real estate, Sean wants to do whatever you need to do in your business, Wendy, and know some of your goals. It's the resourceful, taking time when kids and dinner and everything, but you're sitting here on a webinar, or a teaching class, you're listening on a Zoom call. It's also understanding that in those 2 stories I told you, whether you thought I was being silly or not, they were absolute true stories. But I can go back and show you 14 different things that I said that were stories or unconscious anchors in those 2 stories. So think about this. What if you could just tell people stories, move their emotions, and anchor that I want to do business with you to yourself? Now, maybe you can, maybe you can't at this point, but that's what we're going to be teaching. So, Sean, if you can speak, if not, that's cool. We were asking, what do you hope to get from this in the future? And not necessarily just this, but when you think about persuasion, building a business, what is your goal? If you could say, Wayne, this is what I need, or this is what I desire, what would that be?
More business for sure. And then just stronger language patterns, I guess. That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So have you studied any neurolinguistic programming or any other modality?
A little bit, not a ton. That's something I've been kind of looking at on my own.
Okay.
And kind of trying to teach myself, but man, it's a bear.
But the best teacher is having somebody that can work with you. I'll go ahead and tell you that, somebody you can role play with.
Yeah.
But, and also knowing not to go too deep down that NLP hole, because you end up using stuff that's kind of silly. I don't know any way of saying it. What you want to be able to do is connect with people, make people feel comfortable with you, and take their desires and beliefs and anchor them to you. Language patterns work. But I use them less and less. And the reason I use them less and less is not because they're not important. We're going to teach you the binds and double binds, presuppositions, and so forth. But we want to teach you how to elicit emotion first. Amber, I want you to think about a time, if you can. I want you to think about a time you were just absolutely freaking ecstatic. You know, a date, a marriage, a divorce, a kid, a whatever. It doesn't matter. A piece of pie. I don't care. Something you go, I absolutely am in love. I love this. Can you think of a time? Yeah. How's it make you? And you don't have to, if you don't have to, but can you think of a time? You don't have to tell me what it is, but can you think of a time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the thing that, when I passed my real estate license.
Oh, gosh. Yes. That's like turmoil.
That's the easiest one for me to go back to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the most, that without a doubt is stress, cortisol dripping, and then the biggest dopamine hit when you see it. It's the biggest shift. Same with life insurance. I got my life insurance license. I'm even convincing myself why this isn't for me if I fail this freaking test. And then like, you passed, and I'm like, yeah, you it, yes, you know. So what if you could? Just imagine though. What if you could kind of, maybe not to that full extent, but kind of help your clients have that experience when they buy a home, when they see a certain home, or when they say, "Hey, Amber, I want to coach with you." What if? Because we can't relive that experience, but we can definitely take cortisol and turn it into dopamine, or cortisol and turn it into endorphins.
Yeah,
that's the key. So I'm going to be teaching about dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, serotonin, endorphins, and all of that in the right order. And that's something that Sean I'm glad you said that when you talk about language patterns. A lot of people bring these language patterns up. They bring up emotions. People start dripping cortisol, start dripping endorphins, and it's the wrong time. So there's a pattern behind it. And this can be used in every area of life. I won't get into it this evening for time's sake, but I'll share with you. Without this knowledge, I wouldn't have met my wife. I would have met her, but I would not have been married to my wife. She's like, Wayne, you played me like a fiddle. And I'm like, and you love it, and you still love it. Because I knew how to communicate in a way that she needed it. And I know now, as with any kind of relationship, sometimes there may be tension. How do we alleviate tension without being purely manipulative? How do we truly help somebody? So, and move towards our goals and dreams. So I want to say over how many weeks it is that we're doing this class is going to be free. So invite people. There's never going to be any hardcore sales pitch. We do work with private clients. The private clients, as I said, Sean, that's really when you get into more of the role play and so forth. Or find somebody that you can say, hey, jump on here. Let's learn this with Wayne, and then let's role play this together. Because there's patterns that I've used, language patterns that I've used, and then I'm telling my buddy about it, and he's like, dude, why did you say that? Did you not realize what you just did? And I'm like, oh, crap. So iron sharpens iron, and we're going to become better and better and better. I will get into a lot of real estate specific, how I use this on listing presentations, how I use this in negotiating contracts, etc. All that fun stuff we have to do. And I'll also, as Wendy's a coach, I will really use it how we coach people and move people from one level to the next. Amber, are you still with the other coach we talked about? I don't want to mention her name here, but are you still with her partner?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna show you some cool stuff that they taught, but we're gonna really amplify it a lot harder. I'm gonna open up questions. I didn't want to get into specifics tonight, so if that's what you were hoping for, you can just keep that anticipation until next class. But I did want to open up any questions, any thoughts, and I want to jump in here. Let me go back to future calls. Future calls, 8 p.m. Eastern. At this point, we may shift that over time. Keep a notebook, keep a journal, something that you can keep up with, especially when we get into language patterns. However, we're going to first talk about influencing yourself, getting yourself in that success. I don't even like the word mindset because it's so much more, but we're going to jump into that. So let me open up any questions, any thoughts. Anybody got any information they would like to ask or add to or Suggestions. Okay, who has the first thought, question, or suggestion? Let me rephrase that question. Go ahead, Amber. I see you wanting to say something, and I can see it in your face.
No, I'm just waiting for somebody else to have the first thought or question. I was just thinking like my people just now, because I'm not hyper analytical, but I was reading on your screen about private clients or whatever. What does it say? Something to the effect that it tells you without telling you that you have coaching opportunities available. And I'm always like, how can I phrase or rephrase or, slipping my slides, like that kind of stuff, without coming off like, this is what I want you to do, but it's here for you to know that it's what you can do, type of thing.
Yeah, let's take.
And people don't think like that naturally.
No, if I said, "Hey guys, thanks for jumping on board. At the end of this, I'm gonna give you a sales pitch." Sales resistance just went up. Oh my gosh, another one of those calls.
Yeah.
If I say, "Hey, my private coaching students," we have private coaching students. Now that kind of the same thing. But all I'm saying is our private coaching students have other times. So it's implying that I have private coaching students, because if I say, and I don't know, you may not need it. That's just reality. But if I were to say, "Hey, Sean, you need to sign up with me and let me help you," there could be a little bit of sales resistance. You want to eliminate sales resistance 100%, as much as possible. Because here's a very important, guys. If your client sees it as your idea, you're trying to get them to close on this house. Well, she just wants her commission. She's just tired of showing me homes, which is probably a lot of truth in that. But if they think that way, resistance comes up. But if they think instead, "I want to buy this home. This is the home," then people don't argue with their own belief systems. The number one rule of persuasion is people do not argue when it's their decision. So that's a small little example. Private coaching students have it. And what you can do is, when you're working with your clients, is pepper that language in, such as that on a slide. But why did I say that? Because it's other times. You have to have a reason why you pepper it in. And a lot of times in your speech, you may even say, "Hey, I was working with one of my private coaching students Tuesday, and this is what they said." Third-party stories and so forth. So we'll get into more of that, much, much more of that. So anybody else got any thoughts, feedback, questions? Wendy's disappeared on me. She knows a call on her, that's why. Wendy's amazing. Wendy has been with me in the ministerial side, Indian coaching side, for quite a while. So, Sean, any thoughts, questions?
I do. I have one more question, if I can.
Yeah.
Do you help kind of digest thought process and what's like right now? I feel like I'm stuck. I think I know why I'm stuck, but talking it out and having somebody be able to like digest it. Do you do that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So what you just said is very important. You feel like you know why you're stuck. In other words, you do. You just got a reason. Like, if I say why I'm stuck, I've got to own it.
Well, it's about 5 reasons. I just don't know what order. Like, what's the number one reason why I'm stuck, and then secondary. But I know there's about 5 things going on that I am psyching myself out, and I've just put a majority of life on hold to get through like X, Y, and Z. But maybe I'm looking at it all wrong.
And so there's a time, Amber, that there's sometimes when you need to put things on hold. I'll call it coasting. I'm like, I put my life, this part of my life, on cruise control.
Yeah.
Because I know there's things that are out of my control. There's also times when it can be real easy to say, "Hey, I'm gonna hit cruise control," and you don't need to. What I never do is go 10x, freaking, Grant Cardone, just 10x.
That's stressful.
Sometimes you don't need the 10x.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Winning by Tim Grover, who wrote Relentless. Great book. But I'm hearing it from a different perspective than he's teaching it. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but that worked for Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, and it works for Tim Grover, but it may not work for Amber. So we're really going to, yes, we do work through that. That's why I said mindset first. I can teach you all the language skills, persuasion, closing techniques, all of that fun stuff. But if you're holding your own self-sabotage, and self-sabotage, we're going to really get into a lot and try to work through. We'll have some hot seats. So, feel free to bare your soul to the world. That's what don't want to bare your soul to the world. It's private coaching.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely work.
I go through this cycle right now of like, I'm self-sabotaging. No, I'm not, because of this, and this. No, I need to just get over that. But I got to wait for this and this and this. And so if we're going to go over it, I'm super curious.
We can definitely go over it.
It's also not that you can just talk to every person about, or even my husband, like, whatever, you'll be fine. Like, like, I need more than I'll be fine. I know that, but I want to, deep dive sometimes.
People believe in you too much.
And talk and unspiral myself.
Unspiral, that's a good word. I want you to take notice of some of your words. I want you to really, once we hang up, I want you to write down the word unspiral. Don't dig into it. I just want you to write it down.
Okay.
Also, because there's sometimes the language way that we use paints an image inside our mind, and that's how we act. Also, sometimes the way I may ask you this, Amber. How do you like to be complimented? I try not to compliment anybody in the beginning here.
I don't.
Okay, but if you were to take a compliment, how do you like it? What feels good? Like, I like to be complimented on this or this way. What would if you had to say?
It probably just quick. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I just got an award at my office. I haven't even posted about it because I just feel like, I don't know, it's a little too much. Appreciative though. I think just a quick recognition when my husband will say like, "Hey, thanks for doing the dishes." That's perfect. That's all I need.
So are you okay if we go just a little deep right here? You open to that?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask anyway, where do you feel unappreciated? Just one area. Again, I'm not trying to get into marital, but it could be business, it could be anything. But where do you feel a little? I don't need all the attention, but at least acknowledge me. Where would that be?
I think it is just in my time that I spend. I work. I have 3.75 kids. That means 3 kids and 2 stepdaughters. So my time isn't completely dedicated to 5 kids, but mentally it's there. I have been super successful in my business, but it takes time. So my house isn't always clean. Dinner's not always made. I think in my home is probably where I feel the most underappreciated because of my time distribution.
So we'll delve deeper into this if that's okay. But one way that when I ask people, how do you like to be complimented? They normally have a quick answer. Well, compliment on this, like words of affirmation mean a lot to me, which also means that's what I need. Your way you like to be complimented is also usually an inborn need that isn't being met. So inside of you, again, and tell me if I'm wrong, you're not saying, "Hey, wave a banner and put up flags and balloons for me," but a moment of saying, "I appreciate you," a pat on the back, saying, "Hey, we appreciate what you do." That would mean something to you. So that's what I'm saying. And because you don't get that, you can kind of spiral in your own emotions and hold things in. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely unpack all of this because when you can begin, and it's a journey. I'll say this: most people want the solution. It's a daily journey. The Bible says, "Renew the mind."
Right.
And I really believe it says, "Cast down every imagination, take every thought captive." I believe it's a daily journey. The daily journey you get better and better at. The first time you ride a bicycle, you suck. Bloody knees, busted head, whatever. After a while, you're pretty good at it. But you still, you do it every day. So we're going to do in the influencing others, and then we'll get into influencing yourself, and we'll get into influencing others. Wendy, are you still with us, or did you run? We're going to assume she had to run. I thank you all for being on this.
That's right, I'm here.
Children. I know everybody else has got children. Do you have any children at home running around?
Yeah.
Awesome. Then we're all in the same boat, so we're good. So if you see like little girls, I have 4 daughters at home, 10-year-old, 7-year-old, 2 4-year-olds. So if they ever run up here, hey, Wayne's a real guy. We're just gonna have fun with it. So we never that bothers. I did want to say this: if you want to make sure you're on our email list, this isn't just so we can keep in touch with you. You all should be, but again, this is coverrealresults.com there at the bottom. If you have any questions on anything, let me know. If you're not following me on Facebook, be sure to follow me on Facebook. If you see me on Facebook, you're going to hear me talk a lot about another coaching program that's real estate related. That's okay. We have that. And then we have the NeuroPersuasion, which is, again, we teach NeuroPersuasion in the other course, but this is separate. And so we're going to go deeper into, again, the personal development side here. So, Sean, thank you for being on, man. And hopefully see you guys back next Tuesday.
Okay, brother.